It's pretty dumb.
Yep. Welcome back,
Yeah. That
listeners
was pretty
and
stupid.
watchers, maybe, and feelers. Maybe we have feelers. Are people feeling us?
Just feeling about.
I don't know. Hey,
like
we're elder elves. We're older people playing video games and stuff and talking about gaming. Things like that. We're back. We took a long hiatus over the holidays and and we played some video games, but
we did.
Now we're back.
We'll probably do it again. I'm not gonna lie here, guys.
We probably
I really
will.
liked the 2 months off.
It was nice.
You know? It was nice. 2 months off. But in the social media sense,
we're dead.
You don't want to do that. Yeah, we're dead in the water.
We're dead in the eyes of everyone. You can't go away. What's the matter with you?
Nope. I did nothing with our social media either. I was like, nah, I could do that. And then I'm like, no, when we start up again, I'll start making videos again.
We can stream this to Instagram now too, as well. And if I can figure out how to do it, people may be watching us on that right now.
Are you working on that right now? As I stare at
you. But maybe soon.
Potentially. Maybe coming soon to a Insta, TikTok.
Coming soon
YouTube.
To a thumbs near you.
Yeah, that's right.
Today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons.
I mean, why not? Everybody else does.
Everybody else does, so we might as well talk about it too. But we might, it's going to be a multi-part thing, and I think people who play it will like it, but people who are wanting to learn how to play it will get even more from it. Because we're going to kind of go through what we like about it, what we don't like about it, and build some characters and talk about how to play and everything like that.
Yeah.
How did you get into it?
Me?
Do you remember?
Well, yes, I do actually. I was really big on Legend, the movie Legend. Not I Am Legend, but there's an actual 1980s film with Tim Curry in it. And baby Tom Cruise. And some other people. And it takes place in that fantasy realm, unicorn, high fantasy kind of thing. And then there's a sci-fi version that was called Crawl that I was really into. So there's fantasy has always been there in the background, and I was always kind of a storyteller quietly, playing in my room by myself and coming up with stories for everybody. And I met these boys when I was in fourth into fifth grade, and they had some kid had just come in, and he had started playing Dungeons & Dragons, or knew about it, and he was playing it, and it was basically just 3 guys and then me. So at lunchtime we would come up with these little adventures, not really Dungeons and Dragons, but we would pretend to be these characters. We'd make characters and then just play them out during recess. Yep. And have a whole adventure thing. And then this other kid came in our 7th grade year, and he was like, "Oh, wait, you guys play Dungeons and Dragons?" And we're all the other guys were like, "Oh yeah, we do." And I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Oh, Miranda, I'll teach you. We can roll characters and stuff, and we'll play." So we got out the old player's handbook, and this is I think this is the, gosh, what edition is this? 3rd, I think.
Is that the one you used?
2nd edition. Yeah, this is I also have the DM's guide and the monster manual. This is 2nd edition right here. My mom got this for me for Christmas, I want to say. that year, because I was like so into it, or maybe we saw it in a bookstore or something, and I was like, can we get this? And I loved the pictures in it, and so I built my first character for second edition, named Owen Silverleaf. I still remember. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember his whole backstory. Like, I remember the whole thing. And he spawned like a whole generation. Like, there's a whole, it's a mess, guys. Like, I have a whole backstory for this dude. It has been now years. Like, we're years and years, like 12, 10, 11 years old. I've had this dude with me, like, and his like lineage and the people that came a little bit before him, this whole thing. So we built these characters, and we were going to actually play, but we didn't get we had like a little D&D group, but we didn't get a chance to sit down and do anything. And I said, well, you know what? I have an adventure for us that we could do. And I made a map, which I still have. But I made a map of this world, and instead of doing an actual D&D game, everyone built their characters, but what I did is I did a walkthrough. So basically it's just RPG. No combat. It's just role play, walk through what your character's doing. Yeah, we had like a little mini session of that, and the boys were like, but wait, we're like, do I have to dice roll? And I'm like, I mean, you can if you want, but no, this is like, you just tell me what you're doing. So I did this like whole walkthrough, and then I moved, and I kind of taught it a little bit. I played it a little bit during the summer, but the same way, just doing a walkthrough. So it was literally like no combat, no nothing. It was just storytelling. The character started off in an inn, and from that point forward, it progressed crazy. Like, I had whole like soap opera storylines and everything. Like, I got a bunch of girls started playing it with me, and then I went to El Paso. I had to move down there, and then I amassed a little bit of girls to play, do these walkthroughs and build characters. So we would build the characters out of the book, but then we would just storyline play the whole time. And I was playing with like high schoolers would come and sit and play with me, and do it. And I was always like leading this like super story driven only thing. And it wasn't until like I was playing, like during that time I was playing like Ultima 7, there's Ultima Underworld, and I was playing video games that had Dungeons and Dragons like mechanics.
Yeah.
So I didn't fully like learn a game until I was in college, and by that time I was playing like White Wolf, like those guys. I was in Vampire the Masquerade, Werewolf the Apocalypse. I learned those, and I really loved them. And then I got invited to do a game, which I played like one session. I didn't know at all what I was doing. I got kicked out of that session. And I found out in like a college class that I was not. I said, oh, hey, I can't wait to play again. And they're like, yeah, you're not. We already had the last session. And I was like, what? No, didn't you know you're not? Didn't he tell you you're not playing anymore? And I was like, what do you mean? Oh, well, it's because you and this other person weren't getting along during it. And I'm like, what do you mean we weren't getting along? They go, well, they felt like you two weren't getting along. I go, in character or out of character? And they're like, oh, well, it felt like it was like out of character. I'm like, no, when I role play, I'm like 100% in. Like in between that, I was online. I was on AOL. and I was in
AOL.
I was playing. I was role playing online, and I played extensive like storyline stuff. So I could really like when I play a character and I'm doing stuff like I separate it completely into like what I'm doing versus what the character is. And
Now,
not everybody does that.
do you remember why you didn't have anybody roll in those, like, when you were first doing that? Was there a reason?
Yeah, they had their dice, and I only had it like, because I would look at their stats and stuff and be like, okay, well, to me, if someone is a level like has 18 strength, they could basically do anything, strong wise, except I don't know, maybe pick an elephant up or something like, for the most part. And then there's a lot of stuff that they couldn't do, so I would just say, I'd just look at their stats and be like, well, if a normal person is a 10 and most people are 10, then most people can do, like, can I jump this hole? Yeah, you can. You can. Oh, it's a really big hole. It's like 10 feet. Probably not. Oh, but my dexterity is like a 20. Then you fucking can. Okay? You probably can. You really can. I'm Have you seen some of these like leapers? Like that run and
Leapers?
like those, yeah, whatever. These
Like,
athletic
you
guys.
mean like pole vaulters? Like Olympic?
Those guys. The Olympic style leapers. Yeah, those guys.
I won a gold medal in leaping.
Listen, Seven Lords of Leaping is in that song, all right?
I don't think that's what. I don't think they were talking about Olympic.
Pole jumping. But seriously, I looked at it like, yeah, that person would definitely, if their charisma is high, I'm like, they can definitely talk someone out of something. Like, why bother having them roll? Like, I didn't understand that concept. Like, why would I need you to roll to see if you could do it? You probably could. Like, if it's that high, unless you're talking to someone else and if we wanted to compare charisma to charisma. So if your charisma was a 10 and this person's an 11, they might see through you. Maybe. Unless we're going based on insight or, any of that stuff that doesn't deal with charisma, then they probably, like, if they have a pretty high, like, wherewithal, they would probably catch you, So
Yeah,
I never.
So you were just gearing it more towards the story.
I was. They fought too. I had them go fight things, but not. It was so story-esque that I didn't need to do that, and I had a lot of fun doing it, and I played it for like 2 years doing that. And then when I was in college, I didn't do it when I was in college. I actually played. I was playing Werewolf the Apocalypse, and then I played Vampire, and that was a lot of fun. I liked doing that because they are really that. You have the fight, but you also, it is very story.
Yeah.
More story driven in those the World of Darkness games. And then I got booted out of my D&D game, and I was like, I guess I'm not going to play for a while. And then I didn't play again until I moved to Massachusetts, and then I was playing every weekend, pretty much with one of my friends, and he would run it, but we would play until like 5 a.m. So they come over at like 7 o'clock. We'd have dinner, and then we would just play all the way through. And there's times where I was like,
how I can't. I don't even know how you did that.
Mostly
to do that.
Laying down like this.
Yeah.
What are we doing now? Can we go to sleep?
Yeah. I couldn't do that.
But we did. We played for a long time, and now I kept telling my DM at the time, hey, I have I do have a campaign I want to do with you guys at some point, and I'm gearing up for it. Just a heads up. And I said, when it's ready, I'll let you know. And then I started playing with you. And then I was like, okay, I'm ready now. And then I kicked off my campaign. And so I had to shut that down during COVID because obviously. And then I was online with you guys all the time. So I shut down, like my last game was like January, right before COVID hit.
Yeah.
And then it was with you guys I started playing because I was sad that I didn't have, I wanted to play and I didn't have anyone to play with really.
Well, I think COVID's where a lot of people, well, I shouldn't say a lot. I guess COVID's where a lot of people either picked it up again or found out about it in this like sort of whatever renaissance of Dungeons and Dragons, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Because I noticed a lot of people, I mean, that's where I basically came from within it.
Yeah.
I was just
came
like
at
a hair shy before COVID started.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me. But did you ever play prior, or did you just were abreast of it, as they say?
No, and I think so one important thing to know is that I was homeschooled for a very long time until 7th grade. So there wasn't like a lot of influences or anything like that around me. And most of my cultural knowledge came from my brother. He showed me a lot of movies. He showed me a lot of games. He showed me a lot of TV shows, things like that. He did play, I want to say he played Vampire and Magic, but he and I never played together on that. So I just knew about those things, but never really. It was always just the card stuff. Never Dungeons and Dragons. So then when I was in school, just, nobody was playing it wherever I was. And I do have a feeling my mother was super religious. So even if I had started playing it, I think I would have had to do it like in secret.
In secret? Yeah, she would have tossed your stuff.
Oh my God. No way she would have let me do that.
I want to say in the 80s. I don't know. There was a movie that they put out that was like that Dungeons and Dragons was like kind of evil.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's a whole like satanic panic thing and all that.
And I remember watching that film as a very young person, and then suddenly my mom's like, "Oh yeah, you want to play it? Here, I got you this book." She got me dice. We were gonna get like the whole spell book edition, like because second edition had spell books that you can get, like actual spell books that were really cool. They had class books. They had like the whole thing, the whole shebang. Very cool.
Yeah, I mean, I really wish I wish I had somebody introduce it to me earlier, because I think I would have had a blast. I was always kind of like you. I was always like a storyteller and imagination driven and things like that. I think I would have really enjoyed it because I enjoy it now, but I think as a kid, I could have really like used the outlet in a lot of ways that would have just been really cool and fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wish I'd gotten introduced to it a lot younger. My first experience was we were, not you and I, but other friends and I, we were doing a podcast to kind of explain like sort of like kind of a step-by-step of like how to do it, and we never ended up making it because we recorded the first episode and then I think that was like January or February of 2020, and then everything went topsy-turvy, and then I didn't really start playing until we were playing in that game, you and I together. And then I loved it and played for a long time, and yeah, I wish I could have done it for a lot more. I feel like I missed out a lot not playing it as a kid, sort of like that little cultural touchstone, because I really enjoyed fantasy and sci-fi in particular, everything sort of in that realm of stuff. I watched those cartoons and everything as much as I could when I was a kid. So
did you do a lot of pretend play?
Oh my God, that's all I did.
Yeah.
I didn't have any friends. I was homeschooled. I had nobody. All I did was pretend play.
I had friends, but like for the most part, I played by myself a lot. So I pretend played a lot.
Yeah.
And then when I would come to New York, where my grandparents lived, and it would we'd come for like Christmas or like in between transition, because my dad was a military guy. I spent a lot of time like just by myself because there's no kids that were my age. And then when I did do school, I found out there was kids that like lived up the street that were in my same grade, and I was like, oh, if you guys ever want to hang out, and they, spoiler alert, did not want to hang out with me ever. Just spoiler alert, they did not, in fact, want to hang out with me at all, which is fine. But at the same time, I was like, what? Because they lived like up the hill.
Yeah.
I think I'm Facebook friends with them. Maybe not anymore after this, but they. They're like, add, unfriend. No, okay. They'll be like, oh, I don't remember that. But now that I know I have like ADHD, that's a big tell. But I don't know. I've always beat to my own drum in that way. So I always wanted to be outdoors playing, pretending to be an elf or whatever, and I would just basically write for hours at this point. Even after I stopped playing or like in between, like I wrote out all these characters, their backstories, everything. Like I had everything you could possibly want to know. So when we ended up starting to play, like I didn't build a character right away. I had one in mind that I wanted to play. But I was like, nah, I won't be allowed to play that. And then I kind of was. I was allowed to play this elf ranger. And I had never played 5e, let alone like a real game of D&D. I mean, I did briefly, but then again, I got kicked out. And when I got the opportunity to play, I was like, oh man, I'll just give me, you have some like generic ones. And so I was sent a couple characters to look at, like, what do you want? I'm like, oh, an elf ranger, that's my go-to. Yeah. And so I was sent the character that would become Shale. And I was like, oh, I can run with this. Like they were like their favorite enemy was dragon. And I was like, I have an idea for that. Can we, because I hate personally, I think this is where my cons on D&D come through. Like I always disliked the racial biases of, orcs are bad, but these guys are good. And, oh, you can't have, these people are always evil. Why? Why are they always evil? Oh, because they want to, destroy. Like, why though? Like,
I think that's the biggest con. Like, there's a lot of pros, especially with game that's so like malleable that you can fit it to your own needs. The huge con is something that like a lot of people notice, which is the company and the storytelling as written has a lot of problematic terminology.
Yes.
Yep. Like a lot of racist undertones, a lot of racist overtones in the past.
Yep.
Sexist.
Yep.
You name it. Like there's some stuff in there, and even like in recent time when they've tried to fix that and change it, it's gone poorly.
Yeah, I mean it has. So it was one of those where I'm like, well, this is a fantasy. If this is a fantasy game, like, why are we acting out like, basically war crimes and genocides,
Yeah.
and everything else. And I don't want that in my world. And I don't want to play that. I don't want that. And I want the more, like, it's fantasy. Like, it can go dark, but it could be, there can be some lightness to it too. And I thought it would be funny I thought it would be amusing if my character's favorite enemy was a dragon. That's how she started out. Like, oh, I hate them. But not really hate them, but like, oh, we're going to go hunt these things. And she's like, why? Okay. But it wasn't really, it's more like, lizardy creatures that they were hunting, or like, the type of dragons that, blow poison all over you, don't want to talk to people. And I mean, to be fair, that's probably like, they're just introverts.
Yeah.
When you live forever and you see these, like an enormous amount of time, and you see these young races running around and like burning trees down, and they have like no sense of like, hey, we're going to live here for probably a long time. And they're just like, I don't know, dumping oil everywhere, making plastic. You probably want to be like,
let's
get off my lawn, children. Yeah. Time to put a foot down, but
yeah. But that's fun. That's stuff that we can talk about next time, because we're kind of creeping up on time. But I think next episode we're gonna like talk about characters and like how to create a character, or at least how to start, because we're gonna make this sort of like a multi-step thing.
Yes.
So
maybe we'll build a character out of 2nd edition and compare it to 5th edition.
Oh, that might be interesting. That could be fun. I've never even really seen 2nd edition, so
yeah, it's the pictures are beautiful. There was
I bet.
Artist that used to do it, so
yeah. So join us next week. Join us next Tuesday, and we'll start doing that. We'll start kind of building a character, and as we do, we'll kind of just take people through step by step. So if you are learning how to do it, or if you want like a refresher, or if you know anybody who's thinking about doing it, or if you're starting up a campaign and you want like kind of a tutorial sort of deal, shoot them the show and like and subscribe it, and
that's right.
Click all the buttons. Not the bad buttons, only the good buttons. Click all
only the good ones. If you like flannel, like I do. If you have a mullet.
If you or a beard.
A beard.
If you got a beard or a mullet or a flannel or a hoodie, you'll enjoy this show.
That's right.
Thanks. It's been so long. I'm pretty sure you can find us on the internet at The Elder Elves. All over.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure
all over.
I didn't refresh myself for the outro. You can find me at colincarlton.com or at colincarltonvo on social media and Discord and things like that. What about you? You know things.
Oh, yeah, you can find me as Obscure Abrasion on most social platforms. And I have not published my book yet. It is the beginning of the year. I understand that. It's still going. I'm almost at 80,000 words, and it wasn't supposed to be that big. It was supposed to stop like 40,000 words ago. Nope. Disappointing.
Keep on trying.
All right. So we'll see you next time, guys.
See you next week. Thanks for listening and or watching and possibly feeling us. Bye.